Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching NDTV. 2 days after a stampede at the New Delhi railway station led to the deaths of at least 18 people, Indian Railways is looking at enhancing crowd management measures at the stations. Sources in the ministry have said that there will be a complete overhaul of crowd control measures and protocols across the country. There is a high-level committee that is investigating what happened, but officials say that the stampede was triggered by a rush of a group of passengers at the New Delhi railway station from one platform to the other. To prevent such incidents in the future, color-coded enclosures, enhanced tech to monitor crowds, monitoring of crowds on footover bridges, landing areas, and crisis management training to local officials have been put in place. Also, as part of a 6-month campaign, railway sources have said that Delhi's railway stations, the railway stations of the national capital, could also be undergoing significant improvements to enhance not just passenger safety but also amenities. Now, 60 stations across the country that usually see overcrowding will have permanent holding spaces. Crowds at least 35 stations connected directly to Prayagraj will be monitored on a real-time basis by a centralized war room. Now, this is critical since 90% of Kumbh devotees, the overall number swells in Maha Kumbh year, such as this, come from 4 states within 300 kilometers of Prayagraj. Religious gatherings in India have been prone to stampedes. On the 29th of January, Prayagraj saw a stampede in the early hours of dawn that killed at least 30 people. In fact, in 2013, a study published in the International Journal of Stampede Reduction pointed out that religious gatherings and pilgrim spots account for almost 80% of the stampedes in India. Now, the National Disaster Management Authority has detailed guidelines for crowd management, but clearly that is not enough. 2 stampedes, one in Prayagraj, another one in Delhi, New Delhi railway station, have shown that when it comes to preparing for mega gatherings, there's a lot that remains to be done. So what should the administration be doing here to fix accountability and provide answers, not just about the accident, but also steer the response and behavior after so that precious lives are not lost? That's what we will ask today. Before I go across to my guests, here's a special report.
The Railways has promised a complete overhaul of crowd control measures at stations, starting with New Delhi, where this stampede happened on Saturday night during a rush to board trains bound for the Kumbh at Prayagraj, killing 18 people. The Railways said there will be color-coded enclosures for crowds. Enhanced technology will be used to monitor crowds, including at 35 key stations, many of which are connected to Prayagraj.
During peak rush period, starting from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m., in order to achieve a better crowd management, platform ticket sales will be suspended for a week. Extra security persons have also been deployed. Emerges. We'll implement controlled entry system, and we are developing some arenas. We'll start ticketing from a different place just beside the building.
Despite the measures announced by the Railways, the opposition attacked the government, saying the stampede deaths were a reflection of incompetence and improper arrangements. It's a charge the BJP denies.
नाम तो इन्होंने महाकुंभ दे दिया, महा आयोजन की तैयारी कर दी और जनता को ये बताया कि 100 करोड़ लोग भी अगर आएंगे तो उनका पूरा इंतजाम होगा। ये इंतजाम करना भूल गए और अपना प्रचार और जितना बुला सकते थे लोगों को अलग-अलग माध्यम से बुलाया।
लोगों की धार्मिक भावना है तो किसी को जाने से रोका तो नहीं जा सकता, लेकिन फिर भी भारत सरकार के केंद्रीय मंत्री वैष्णव जी ने भी घोषणा की है कि हम इसकी जांच कराएंगे। अगर कहीं रेलवे का कहीं कमी हुई तो उस पर अवश्य कार्रवाई होगी।
The holy dip overshadows tragedy. On an average, 7,000 tickets are booked on 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. duration at the New Delhi railway station every day. But on the day of the incident of the stampede, more than 9,600 tickets were booked. Then how is it that the ministry did not estimate such a surge in the tickets issued? We have narratives clashing on one hand, and then there is official explanations also still evolving. The question remains, was this a tragic accident or a preventable disaster? With camera person Gopal, this is Tanushka Datta for NDTV.
Well, joining us now is Adil Singh Bopra, who is the national spokesperson of the Congress Party. We have Radhika Khera, who is national spokesperson BJP. We have MS Reddy, former vice chairperson of the NDMA. And we have Professor Anil Gupta, who is the CEO of Integrated Center for Adaptation and Disaster Resilience. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining me on this broadcast. Mr. Reddy, to you first. So we know there are two stampedes that have taken place, and both of these incidents have been eye-openers, at least for the authorities. They had drawn out huge, extensive plans for the safety of Kumbh devotees. Now, what should the administration be doing, to ensure such accidents don't really recur in the future?
Well, I think, in disaster management, we always believe that every disaster, very unfortunate as they are, should be a learning experience. We've had many such incidents even in the past. I recall there was once a festival where Shiva temple in Madhya Pradesh, where people were walking on a bridge and more than 100 people died because of certain, the stampede that took place because of certain reasons which were very, I think, from my view, very frivolous kind of a thing. There was some kind of a panic, how people react when something like that happens, and it's a situation that becomes very difficult to control as it was seen at that time. So here, the railway authorities, now we have another 8-9 days remaining for the Maha Kumbh to end, and the railway authorities should take note of all the things that can be put in place to avoid any such thing happening. Over a period of 45 days, of course, the number has been increasing. The tickets which were sold apparently are also more. I think one of the lessons that have to be learned from this, is that there has to be a more provision. I think even the rest of the Maha Kumbh period, more number of trains for unreserved passengers. Because the special train which was sought to be introduced on that unfortunate evening was which platform it was coming. This led to the kind of situation that we have witnessed. So the remaining part of the Maha Kumbh should go smoothly. Lessons are to be learned, and I'm sure that the railway authorities.
Adil, 12 lakh people were carried by 383 trains yesterday alone. Clearly, there's a lot of burden on Indian Railways. If we look at this beyond the prism of politics, what are the things that you think should be added to increase the scope of improvement here?
Well, Vasudha, firstly, on behalf of the Congress Party, we extend our deepest condolences to the bereaved families. I think in this hour of grief, we must stand shoulder to shoulder with them. Point number one. Point number two, and this is where the irony lies, media management and headline hunting has become a substitute for governance. This is actually a brazen case of criminal negligence. It is a case of lack of preparedness. It has now become a case of no accountability. The fact of the matter is that this was public knowledge, that crores of devotees are visiting and performing ceremonies at Prayagraj. The government should have been aware. It is not that this has happened all of a sudden. This is the second such incident. These are human lives which are being lost. For the BJP, this may just be numbers, but for us, it is human lives. And today in India, you have two Indias. You have one India where the BJP's VVIPs are rolled out the red carpet, where they get chopper rides. And you have the other India where ordinary citizens are losing their lives, where they are languishing. Who is accountable for all this?
Okay.
We talk about being a $5 trillion economy. We talk about being a superpower. You have such unfortunate incident in the heart of New Delhi. And what do you have the government doing? The government is trying to manage the media and manage headlines.
Okay.
Is this what we become?
Okay, point taken, Adil. Let me also bring in Akhil Agarwal, who is the former Director General of Indian Railways here. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. Before I go to you, Radhika, you heard Adil out. Tell me, this allegation that this is more media management than crowd management, and the fact that there was a lot of propaganda and not really preparedness, is that something that you think should have been worked upon?
The tragic stampede at the railway station is extremely heartbreaking, and the government stands with the families of those who lost their family members as well as the victims who are injured over there. Having said that, the Congress spokesperson was talking about the BJP people traveling by helicopters. Vasudha, when the stampede took place, my family was at the railway station. They were at the same platform just 15 minutes before the stampede happened. And there were many other senior leaders also of the Bharatiya Janata Party who were traveling by train and were going to Kumbh. So everyone was traveling the way the common man travels, and probably by a whisker or whatever, they missed the stampede just by a whisker. So we know exactly what is happening, and we are very well aware, and the government is working day and night to ensure the safety of each and every citizen. For every government, each and every citizen of the country, of the state is very, very important. Why will we want to lose our family? No one wants to lose their family. But if something so tragic has happened, we have tried our best. There have been more than 40 crore people who have taken have gone for Snan at the Kumbh, and this is something which has never happened before, because this Kumbh has only happened after 144 years. So we cannot compare it to any other religious event or any other Kumbh that has happened previously. Ki is Kumbh mein ye nahi hua, us Kumbh mein aisa hua, idhar aisa hua. Well, there has been an issue, but we are on it, and we are ensuring the utmost safety of each and every passenger in the future. We try to prevent such things from happening, and we will ensure that something like this does not happen again. When something like this happened, we ensured that they were taken.
Okay, so learnings are more important, right? Mr. Gupta,
this is something which is to be sorted.
Right. There's one point that Adil pointed out, about VIPs, and that's one thing that's very evident. When you see common people going to Kumbh and when you see VIPs going to Kumbh, there is a stark difference even in the visuals, the kind of facilities. How does one address something like this, sir? Because this is not about protocol or procedures. This is about social issues. This is about inequality that exists. Do you think that VIP culture in Kumbh also leads to problems for common people?
Is this question for me?
Yes, sir.
I will take it little differently. And very first thing, I would say that this is the issue of professional competence and improvement in the governance, and should not be a political issue. And I have 5 quick points to make here. Very first thing, that any such kind of issue has to be planned in terms of carrying capacity, and that is very important thing. And carrying capacity not only at the site of Kumbh, but all the stations and all the nodes associated with that. And I think that has been already overwhelmed a lot because of a huge advertisement and a kind of a wave in the country that everyone, whether he has the physical capability or whether he has some kind of a vulnerability, the people who cannot walk, or people who are not able to withstand that kind of situation, those kind of people also trying to travel. Second thing, when it comes to Stampede, the former vice chairman of NDMA has already quoted that this kind of incidences, certainly in different scales, Stampede has been an issue in India for a long time. All the time, every year, some or other kind of stampedes we have been facing. And that is a very serious issue. We have to learn to improve the human crowd management system in the country. All parts of the country, whether ruled by any party or whether any kind of a culture or language. And second thing, this issue has to be seen in a holistic way. Most of the time, we are focusing on symptomatic treatment. That if there is more crowd, it will be a crowd monitoring. It's very important. But crowd monitoring has been done, will be done, and then people will not be allowed. In fact, what will happen? The initial crowd will be
Okay, so
made by the
follow-up
people who
procedures
are
are very
actually not
important.
very.
Yeah, Mr. Gupta, I'll come back to you. Mr. Agarwal, who has joined us. You know, stampedes at Kumbh Mela, somebody else was also pointing out, have occurred multiple times in the past, 1954, 2003, 2010 and 2025. It is well known that railway stations and bus depots also record a high number of footfall during this season. How can these places be managed better, sir? Because what happened at the New Delhi railway station was completely unfortunate, you know, people rushing from one platform to another. Clearly, our systems have to be better, our infra has to be better. Also, you know, our announcements have to be better. So many things have to work together to ensure the crowd is managed properly.
Let me first tell that it's a very unfortunate that something which has happened yesterday, and it should not have happened what has happened. But then second thing I would like to say that Northern Railway and particularly New Delhi railway station, there are very set protocol to look after the crowd, because we have I have worked in Delhi division, I have worked in Northern Railway. They have a very set protocol every time during the Diwali and during Chhat Puja. They do the crowd management. I am not very sure what has happened this time, why they couldn't manage the crowd. They stop platform tickets. The general public is not allowed to enter the platform. They manage the trains in such a way that the platforms are not changed. And I am told that the railways authorities are saying that the platforms are not changed. I am not very sure what has happened, and they have ordered an inquiry, and I am sure that they will find out whether the platform has changed or whether it has not changed.
Right.
So, but they have a very set procedure, and what has gone wrong yesterday, which has led to such a disaster, this only the inquiry will be able to say.
Mr. Reddy, you know, most of the problems I understand occur when attendance exceeds initial estimates. What role can governments play in mapping the kind of crowds can one expect? Because even on Mani Amavasya, that was the whole thing. People expected around 10 crore, administration was expecting around 10 crore people, but 7 crore people landing there within 3 hours overwhelmed the capabilities of not just resources, but also everything else. How does one ensure that we understand our infra capabilities? I also feel that people in responsible positions should be very cautious before asking people to attend events, right? I mean, if you see a whole cabinet going to the Kumbh, people also feel the need probably to attend this event. Do you think that people in responsible positions should also be cognizant of the fact that the country has limited capabilities and cannot really sustain too many people? Mr. Reddy, please unmute yourself.
I think one thing that we really need to do at the end of this festival is to have a detailed review of the arrangements, what went right, what went wrong at every stage. And, this is a great learning. This is, as I said, will be a great learning experience. And then what should be done next time? What should not be done next time? I think we need, more technology to come into play. I was telling somebody this morning that, maybe AI will have a role. And how do we restrict people coming to Maha Kumbh from different states, different modes of transport? These are all very serious and complex issues. I think we need to have a proper roadmap coming out after this. And very often it does happen, as somebody pointed out. We talk about this when, whenever there is a disaster, everybody is talking about it, the media is talking about it, experts are called in. But now the real challenge will be what we do after this ends. Learn from this and prepare a roadmap so that such incidents do not occur in future.
Right.
And
Adil, let me ask you a political question here. A reason why we all feel that Arvind Kejriwal completely lost elections is also because Aam Aadmi Party completely, in some ways reduced the expenditure on capital, capex. And that seems to be happening in several states which are following the welfare model, which is great. But finding this balance between welfare and infra growth is something that all state governments need to be doing. The fact that our infrastructure in many cities is also crumbling is a reason why such incidents occur. Do you think that, as the opposition party that has also emphasized a lot on guarantees, so has the ruling party. Do you think it's also time for political parties to ramp up their efforts at creating infrastructure that is sustainable?
Well, Sudha, let's not beat about the bush. The incident happened on a platform which is under the control of the railways, under the government of India. So let's not pass it on to the states. The responsibility squarely lies with the central government, period. So therefore, accountability must come from them, number one. Number two, if seeking justice for the victims is politics, then so be it. We will seek justice. This may be a learning process for some, this may be just numbers for the BJP, but this is loss of human lives. Go look into the eyes of the families who've lost their loved ones. Can you just tell them that after this, we will look into all this? We will prepare a roadmap? I think that is callous and insensitive. Number four, this is where the problem lies. Headline management and media management cannot be a substitute for governance. And this is the second such incident. Let me flag this. This is the second such incident in a fortnight. The first happened at Prayagraj. Did this government not learn its lessons? It is very easy to keep on passing the buck, but the problem lies is that there is no accountability with this government.
Okay.
This government is in a state of denial.
Okay.
This is the problem.
Yes, Adil, you've made your point. Radhika, you wanted to respond.
I think the opposition really needs to get its act together. Let's start with what happened at Prayagraj when a stampede happened a couple of weeks back. Who was to blame in that? And eyewitnesses have gone on record to say that a bus stopped and there were goons who got off the bus wearing red caps, shouting slogans of Akhilesh Yadav Zindabad, and they trampled and walked over people who were sleeping over there. So let me not get into who was responsible. There have been high-level inquiries that are being conducted over there, and we will get to the root of it, that who was responsible, and as well as over here. We do not shy away from our responsibilities, and these are not numbers for us. These are not just numbers for, they have been numbers just for the Congress governments in 54 years of their governance, especially at the time of the Kumbh, when during Jawaharlal Nehru's times, hundreds and hundreds of people died in stampedes, and lots of time under your governance, whether it is terrorism or stampedes, people have lost their lives. So people have always been numbers for the Congress and UPA government, not for the Bharatiya Janata Party. And they were numbers for you, which is why you are not in power, and the people of India still only believe in us and trust Narendra Modi ji and his government for their safety as well. Having said that, I think the best way to go forward in this, while the government is going to ensure that every step is taken to ensure the safety of the citizens also have to cooperate with the government. We have also seen instances when people have gone and, tried to break windows and doors of trains and try to do that. We need to, even educate our citizens.
I don't think that's a norm here, right? Those are certain
going to be a hand-in-glove
of course,
thing.
those are getting investigated, but clearly it's also time to build capacities, capabilities, and more importantly, earn the trust of people. And more importantly, like one of our panelists said, that it is important to get those learnings right. Thank you all of you for joining me on this broadcast. The last date of Maha Kumbh is 26th of February. This means lakhs of devotees are still trying to reach the holy city of Prayagraj to immerse themselves in the Sangam. The confluence of rivers, well, after the Saturday stampede, railway authorities have ordered a probe into this incident. They have constituted a 2-member committee to investigate the cause of the stampede. A number of crowd management and monitoring measures have been enhanced by railways today. In fact, 35 stations connecting directly to Prayagraj will be monitored on a real-time basis by a centralized war room. This has been going on for the past 2 months, and this is critical since 90% of Kumbh devotees come from 4 states within 300 kilometers of Prayagraj. Well, remains to be seen how we learn from such tragedies and work towards making stampedes a thing of the past.